You probably may have gotten away with some higher CTMs. Now you can see that, IFG, the carriers are really starting to get away from it. Like, you have to have low CTMs, low rapid disenrollments, right? And that's the way that it should be. And carriers, guys, you guys have to crack down more on this type of stuff. Hey everybody, man, Heaped has been a big talking point over the past couple weeks, of course, with IFG announcing that they are no longer accepting any new agents on the platform, and then also terminating those with higher CTMs. Think it's long overdue in that perspective. I've had a lot of conversations with their executives over the time. For those that don't know, we do work with IFG on a few of our contracts. We are not on the HEAP side of it. However, we do work with them on some of on the traditional side of it. And a few of those will end up moving direct next year. A couple of those will move direct this year. Have been a great partner, but not surprised. Not surprised to see what I've seen thus far, with, I don't know if it was Humana, the executive team, who it was that ultimately made the decision to kind of put a freeze on it. I don't know the specifics on it, but that's their, that's what they've got to do. That's what they've got to do. Business has got to be what business has got to be. Now, what are these other guys what are you going to do, right? If you're a HEAP shop now and we're going into AEP, we're not even less than 2 months away, from AEP at this point, and you wanted to hire 5, 10, 20 people. Guys, you should have already been doing some traditional agents anyways. I don't think the HEAP program was built to have 100% of your agents on the HEAP program and do that. It doesn't make sense to me as a business owner, to do that versus actually building a solid foundation with residuals and renewals and so on and so forth, right? So what are you going to do? Well, you need to start building some models. Go back to a lot of my videos that I've, talked about over the past year, 2 years, model. You build a model, right? You could sustain growth. There's a lot of groups out there that worked under the HEAP side of it, that you can survive with taking your heats, okay, with the, 10, 15, 20, 50 agents that you have on the HEAP side of it, and instead of putting all the money in your pocket, or whatever you're doing with the cash, blowing it, keeping it, I don't know what you guys do with your money, but there's a way you can model it and then, take a team of agents and start doing traditional. Why do you want to do traditional? Guys, I'm sure at some point, some of you guys want to sell your business, right? You want to get a value for your business. I know that's the ultimate dream, the American dream, right? Build a business and sell it and become wealthy and, all that stuff. And I'm sure, a lot of agency owners, that's something that crosses their mind. Well, HEAP deals today, are there acquisitions in the HEAP deals today? Yeah, there still are. There still will be. I personally would never buy a HEAP shop unless the persistency is really amazing. And I personally wouldn't buy a HEAP shop. That's just me. I'm not saying that, some businesses aren't good if they are HEAPed. But traditionally the persistency with that is not good. And, it's a lot of 1099, not W-2, but again, not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about what could you do if you're a HEAP shop that, got caught into one of these situations. Go traditional. I'm not saying you have to go Medicare supplements. I love Medicare supplements. Those that know me, Medicare supplements is our bread and butter. I love Medicare Advantage too. I'm biased towards Supp, but any which way. You can take 5, 10, 20 agents, put them on the traditional side and start building that foundation of the actual company. All right. Now, you probably may have gotten away with some higher CTMs. Now you can see that, IFG, the carriers are really starting to get away from it. Like, you have to have low CTMs, low rapid disenrollments, right? And that's the way that it should be. And carriers, I know a lot of carriers watch my videos too. Guys, you guys have to crack down more on this type of stuff, right? And I understand why you don't do it from a business perspective, but it starts with the carriers, and the carriers are finally starting to do it. I feel like we're 3 or 4 or 5 years, I'd say 3 to 5 years behind, on really cracking down on CTMs and rapid disenrollments and stuff like that, and actually holding these, call it FMOs, NMOs, call centers, accountable. You have to crack down on these guys. I mean, that's part of the reason why we're seeing the turbulence that we're seeing in this industry. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You may not agree with me publicly, but I'm sure if you truly sat down and you thought about it, that's a very big part of the issue that we have today is, these groups that are just churning business, low persistency, right? Which then equates to higher rapid disenrollments, which equates to higher CTMs, because these guys are just chasing the dollars, versus actually putting clients in the right plans. They're chasing the benefits, the free stuff, right? Versus actually putting them into the right plans for their healthcare needs. But that's a whole nother video in itself. Carriers, get better. I'll just say it to everybody. I don't think it's just one specific carrier. I think it's a majority of the core carriers out there. But going back to traditional, take 2, 5, 10 agents, put them on traditional. Keep the seat. You may lose a little bit of money. I mean, most of you guys are out there, with CPAs. I hear it all the time. Our CPAs are higher. We generate higher quality business, which I'm willing to pay a higher CPA to have a more persistent book of business. And in return, I'm able to get better deals and stuff with the carriers. But listen, you run your business the way you want to. But I can tell you this, if you can't operate with having a subset of, call it 3/4 of your team that's on Heaped, that's there, you're going to have to retain those agents. I don't know, IFG may end up bringing, these a Heap back. I don't know if it's a Q1, 2 years from now. They may get rid of it all. I don't know. I have no inside information from that perspective. But what I can say is, if you can't operate on a, call it a $200 or even a $300 cost per acquisition, and then being able to pay your agent, shame on you. You need to fix your model at that point. You should be able to operate on a advertising CPA of, say, $300, paying your agent anywhere between, I don't know, most people, again, are just doing 1099 work, but let's just say your all-in cost per deal, and this is probably high for a majority of you, but ours is right around 150, 175 per deal. So even if you just say it's 175, your all-in cost is 375. You know what you're getting, even if it's a replacement, right? And a lot of these groups that are on the Heaped, they're not doing a ton of new business. They're doing a lot of switching, right? A lot of dual eligibles and stuff like that. Well, do the math between what you're getting traditional, right? You're replacing, right, 300 and change, plus your admin. Most of you guys that are on Heaped are going to have an admin of anywhere between 100 and probably 180 bucks admin per se. And then you guys are going to get some co-op on top of that. So even if you just say the 300 plus the 150, right? There's your 450 right there. There's 450 right there. Yeah, you as an owner, right, aren't making a ton of money off of that, but guess what happens next year, right? And you get another 300, right? And the year after that, and you get another 300. It starts to add up, and that's what we've done over 11 years is our residual book of business is so huge. The value of that now is significant, right? And what do I mean by that? Again, a lot of these Heap shops that are trying to go to market or thinking about going to market, selling their company and stuff, you're getting extremely low multiples. There's no book of business for them to rely on to go acquire you, right? And again, we've talked about acquiring some shops, and we probably will in the future at some point. I'm more than likely not going to acquire any HEAP shops unless it's really, really good, clean business, which is not very common on that side of it. So make it work, right? You're going to lose. Let's just say IFG doesn't for 2 years, right? Your attrition's a real thing, right? I'd love to tell you, we retain 100% of our agents, and they're all happy and we're happy with them and everything else. That's not the case, So if IFG holds to their guns and doesn't let any of these, you're going to be losing some people that are on Heaped. Well, what are you going to do with them, right? I've had 4 different groups that are some of the largest groups with IFG reach out to me and say, what should I do? Well, you shouldn't have waited until this point, right, to figure this out. We knew it was all coming. They've known it's been coming. Everybody knows it's been coming, right? It was just when. When are the carriers going to say it's enough? When is Humana, IFG, going to say it's enough, right? And that time is here, right? And of course, right before AEP. So listen, we have a lot of these groups that are coming over to us. I'm not saying I want the HEAP shops that want to work, that want to come over to us and work with us. I'm not trying to take IFG's downline. Some good friends of mine are over there. That's not the plan. It's not what I want to do. But at the end of the day, you guys do need some guidance. You guys need some help on that regard. You really need to work with IFG. I know a lot of, they are taking traditional contracts, because again, we work with them on the traditional side of it. They are taking those contracts, work with them there, on that type of stuff. But you guys have to do something. I don't think final expense is the right answer. I'm sure I've heard a couple groups come to me and say, well, what if I start taking final? Again, you're just doing the same thing. Now, I love final expense. We've got 22 agents on it today. We're hiring for another 30. I'm doubling down on final expense. I love all the numbers I'm seeing and everything. But again, we're a unicorn. I don't know. It's me patting my back a little bit there, right? But we are a unicorn in both the Medicare and final expense side of it. I love final expense, but that's not always the right answer. You need to build a book of business with your Medicare as well. And if you're not doing Medicare supplements, and I'll end it with this, shame on you guys, right? There is, now if you're just doing 90, 95, 100% dual eligibles, right? Yeah, I understand that. But there's a lot of people in this industry that just don't do Medicare supplements. And I don't give a shit what you say. I don't care what anybody else says. At the end of the day, there's a need and a place for Medicare supplements. There's a need and a place for Medicare Advantage, right? And, if you're not doing fact-finding education, offering both products, shame on you. And if you're just chasing the dollar, and there's so much money on the Medicare supplement side, guys. I mean, and it's what you would probably buy yourself. It's probably what you would sell your family members, your parents, right? Your grandparents. At the end of the day, do the right thing for your clients. And when I say there's a lot of money, go look at these publicly traded companies. There was one Q2 just got announced for one of the big 3 publicly traded companies out there, in the space, and their lifetime values on their Medicare Advantage were like, I think it was less than $850. Guys, my lifetime value on my Medicare supplements like $1,700. Yeah, my CPAs are higher, but $1,700. Think about that. And then on top of that, we're selling a shit ton of ancillary on top of that, right? With these plans. So if you're not offering it, shame on you. For the HEAP shops that are out there that are going to watch this, not my cup of tea on the brokerage side, not who we're looking to work with, unless you're writing really, really good business. Again, I'm not trying to steal from IFG. But if you want to get into the Medicare supplement side, and you want to learn how to sell Medicare supplement, offer it to your clients and do the right things, hey, reach out to us. You can reach out to me directly, whether it be on social media. Would prefer you reach out to Brokerage at teameip.com. Reach out to our VP of Brokerage, Kurt Graham. Best way to do it is probably Brokerage at teameip.com. Set up a meeting, and we can kind of talk about it. But listen, do I think HEAP's dead? I think other people are going to get creative. I know some other people or some other, call it FMOs, are going to get creative with doing it. Do I think it's a forever thing? No. Do I think it is a good business starter for you to get some cash out there and get some money in your pocket to help, build a traditional? Yeah, absolutely. That's what Heaped was built for, right? Talking to the original people of IFG, that's what Heap was built for. It was built for, call it that bridge of 3, 6, 9, 12 months of an agent, and then converting them over to the traditional route so you can, build the book of business yourself, build the value in your company. Remember, when you're an LOA under IFG or any of the other up-and-coming Heap shops, or even Heap shops that are out there today, right? Go Health had a Heap side of it. I don't think they're doing it anymore. I might be wrong there. But these carriers don't recognize who you are, right? You're an LOA under IFG, so they don't know who, your agency is, how much business you're writing, which in returns means that you can't get, direct deals, you can't get higher levels and stuff like that, as time goes on either. So, you're essentially just a part of the IFG umbrella or any of these Heap shops. So, listen, you got to figure it out. I'd love to say I had better news for you and stuff, but start writing good business. If you're not writing good business, I'm happy that IFG is doing what they're doing. It needs to clean up this space. I don't like what I see with some of these Heap shops, and there's some great Heap shops. I don't want to be negative here. There are some great shops out there that are Heaped, that do business the right way, have low CTMs, great persistency, but I would say that's, and I might be wrong here, I don't have any inside information, I'd say that's less than 20% of the shops that, that are out there that are leveraging Heaped. And 80% are, doing all the wrong things to make quick cash. So don't put a target on my back. At the end of the day, I'm saying what I'm saying. So, hey, good luck. Have a great day. See you soon.